You're listening to Overflow from Riverside Church.
All right. Hey, what's going on? Welcome to another edition of the Overflow podcast. Hey, today is going to be a little bit different. We're in a little bit of a makeshift week, if you will. We had some scheduling conflicts and things like that were going on during our normally scheduled time. So, hey, man, I'm sorry. You've got just me, Pastor Chris, this week on the Overflow podcast. And Overflow is just that, man. It's an overflow of the information, the study, the research, the thoughts, the business principles, the leadership principles, all the above kind of get thrown into in the cultural contexts of each week's message. And man, this week was a great week for me. I love the book of Nehemiah. Nehemiah is, it's a leadership principle book, really, but it's been fun to actually dive into some of the other nuances, right? Our team was talking about how Esther is in the kind of storyline of Nehemiah as well, right? Between Zerubbabel and Ezra, and then you have Nehemiah and how Esther falls in between Zerubbabel and Ezra, and so it's been fun to kind of watch that unfold in a little bit of a different way, because you can read the scriptures and you can get to know it, but then when you start to really dive deeper into it, you stop kind of piecemealing it together, and you really start to utilize what it is that God is saying in and through it. And so I hope this has been fun for you to dive a little bit deeper into it. Man, this week on the podcast, I really want to talk about how leaders cast vision. This week is all about vision casting. And started off with Martin Luther King, I Have a Dream speech, which is fascinating because he makes that speech before the country, even still, obviously, with the division that we have. But he makes that speech, and he's casting a vision to a better tomorrow. And that's what vision is. Vision is seeing something that others don't see and casting the vision on how to get there, right? You're trying to get people from point A to point B and bring them alongside of it. Because if you're just doing that alone, then you're not vision casting. You're just kind of lone wolfing it. And that's not the way that we want to be. And so vision casting and vision in general is basically casting that hope of a preferred future and getting people to get there because of what you say, what you spoke, what you dreamt, what you believe to be true. And obviously Nehemiah does that. He goes in, he evaluates, he looks at these things, and then he actually starts to cast the vision. He sees it clearly, right? He says it out loud, like we talked about, and then he stands his ground because opposition comes. And so, like what Nehemiah shows us that we probably miss a little bit is what I've been thinking through in this particular week's message. Nehemiah 2:11 through 20. It's talking about vision and opposition, and we're going to see more opposition in Nehemiah. And in this message, like I said, there's those three movements, right? He sees everything clearly, he evaluates it. He's got to understand what it is going. You can't just cast a vision without understanding it. You can't just say, well, this would be great, and then just hope it's great. He's evaluating it in the middle of the night, during the day, inspecting the walls, doing those things. He says that vision out loud, then he stands his ground boldly. But I want you to kind of see something that's a little bit deeper, maybe a layer deeper, not just what this vision is about spiritually, but actually how vision works from a leadership standpoint. Because most people don't fail because they lack vision. I don't think people fail because they lack vision in their life. I think they actually fail because they don't know how to steward the vision that they've been given. And so maybe, and hopefully this podcast this week can help you steward the vision that you've been given. Here's the reality. Vision isn't invented, it's discerned. It is. Nehemiah doesn't just show up to Jerusalem with a whiteboard and a strategy session already ready to go. He goes there and he discerns what it is that he sees and what it is that God is speaking to there. He doesn't go in and say, here's my idea, right? He discerns what it is that God is saying to him. Here's what God has put on my heart is basically what he's saying. Here's what I've seen to be true about what it is that I'm walking into, right? I think great leaders don't create vision. They discern where God is already working. So it's the discernment process, and discernment means taking what is already there and filtering it through, right? Kind of sifting through, if you will. Mining for gold, taking what God is saying, then mine it for more gold that's in there. And so great leaders don't just create it. They actually jump into and discern where God is already working. And I think this is where modern leadership gets sideways. We're taught to build your vision, chase your dream, define your own future, if you will. But biblically, vision is less about creativity. We don't see the creative nature of all the characters of these true accounts that we see in the scripture. It's more about alignment. One of our pathways here, we have abide in Christ, align with his mission, and amplify his message. And so it's about alignment. I need to take what God has given me and alignment with him for his glory. And so don't build your own, don't create your own thing, don't chase your own dream. What if you just aligned with what God was already doing and with where God is already working? Because vision isn't something you come up with. It's actually something you wake up to, right? It's not something you come up with on your own in the middle of the night. It is something that you wake up to, what God is already doing and already working. And so don't forget that vision is not invented, but it's discerned. I think another kind of principle is that clarity comes before communication. We see that with Nehemiah. We talked about it in this week's message. Like Nehemiah, before he ever speaks publicly, he spends that time privately. Like he is by himself, putting in the time, putting in the effort, putting in the energy, all of those sorts of things. He's inspecting the wall. And at night, he's doing it quietly. He's doing it personally. He's doing these things privately before he ever goes public with what it is that God is telling him to do. And so really the principle that we learn here is that you can't clearly communicate what you haven't deeply processed. It is so hard for you to really communicate to other people the things that you have not deeply processed already yourself. And so don't rush this. Because honestly, if I'm being really, really honest, I think I see a lot of leaders rush this. They talk too early. They cast vision too quickly. They lead before they've actively understood anything. and it's fascinating, right? They rush things and they want to just communicate it. They want to be first to market, if you will. They want to be first to say something. They want to get it out there to see what other people think. And I think what that creates is shallow buy-in. I think it really creates a shallow buy-in from the people. I mean, honestly, if we're thinking about it out loud, shallow vision is going to lead to shallow buy-in. And if you don't know deeply what it is that you've been called to do, then you're going to have a shallow vision. And if you have a shallow vision, then the people around you are going to have a very shallow buy-in. You have got to deeply know and understand what it is that God is telling you to do. Nehemiah doesn't have a shallow vision. Like he doesn't just hear about the problem, then come up with this idea and then go out there. He sees it, he inspects it, he spends time, 3 days that he's kind of even still processing what God says. And then he walks it, right? Like he's walking the grounds. He's walking the rubble, so much so that his animal couldn't get through the narrow road, right? And so the reality is like he doesn't have anything shallow at all. It is deeply, deeply ingrained in him, and therefore it's going to be deeply ingrained in other people as well. Here's the truth. You don't earn the right to lead what you haven't taken the time to understand. And so if you have not taken the time to understand something, man, you don't earn the right to lead out in that way. I see this far too often. There's a whole lot of young leaders that are out there that want to get going right away, want to start right away. They want to do all of these other types of things, and yet they've not put the time in. They don't have the wounds and the scars and the processes that they've walked through to lead where they want to lead, because you don't earn the right to lead what you haven't taken the time to understand. You got to understand it. You got to deeply know it. By the way, this is not just true for pastors. This is business leaders, team leaders, parents, all the things, right? You've got to know stuff. You've got to understand it. You got to put the time, effort, and energy into knowing deeply what it is that you've been called to do, and having the clarity that is going to come far before you ever communicate anything. You can't clearly communicate what you have not deeply processed. I think the other thing is this: vision must be spoken clearly. You're going to have to speak your vision clearly. I'm thinking of, there's some people I know that love to cast vision. And I think what they think of casting vision is just speaking. They talk and they talk and they talk. And sometimes they get done talking and I have no idea what they said. They said a lot of stuff, but I don't think I understood anything. And when Nehemiah speaks, like, it is simple, it is clear, and it is compelling, right? He didn't ramble. He didn't overcomplicate things. Like he does three things. He named the problem, he cast the vision, and he invited people in. He named the problem, he cast the vision, and he invited people in. And you know what? People followed him. It says, dude, let's go. Let's start rebuilding. And their hands were strengthened as they did it, right? And that's because of this leadership principle. Clarity and simplicity are what make vision transferable. Clarity and simplicity are what make vision transferable. It's not information. It's not talking. It's not just rallying the troops. It's clarity and simplicity, which is going to make vision transferable. People are going to go, oh yeah, that was simple and that was clear. I can do that. Let's rebuild the wall. Let's go. 52 days, we got this, right? And I think a lot of leaders lose people here. They really do. They say things like, we're going to do something big. We want to be an organization that does this. We hope to do these things as an organization. God is moving, so let's go. They say things like, we're excited about the future. And they move on and on and on. And listen, we're going to do something big. We want to be an organization that does this. God is moving. We're excited about the future. Those aren't bad things, but can I tell you something? They're not vision. That's a vague inspiration that you're hoping to get people alongside of you to get going to do something that you want to do, but you have no idea how you're going to do it. Notice what Nehemiah said? Come, let's rebuild. It's clear, it was specific, it was actionable. It wasn't a bunch of hyperbole. It wasn't a bunch of other information added in. Come, let's rebuild. Why? Because clarity and simplicity are what make vision transferable. You see, if people don't know what to do next, you haven't cast the vision. You've created confusion. If they don't know their exact next step on what to do, then you're not casting vision. You're just trying to inspire people. And there's a good place for inspiration. But after you inspire people, you have to cast vision. And when you cast vision, it has to be clear and simple and an identifiable next step for everyone. So if you're casting vision, one question you can ask yourself, do I have a clear and simple next step for everyone to take? What is next for everyone? If there's not a what is next, then you're not casting vision. You're just inspiring people. I think another truth that we see is this. Vision invites, it doesn't impose. Vision invites, it doesn't impose. This is like real subtle, but real powerful as well. Nehemiah doesn't say, you need to rebuild. You need to do this. Man, listen, dude, he hadn't even been there. Like 140 years of all of this is going on, and he hasn't stepped foot on the ground. So he could have easily been like, hey, dude, you got yourself in this mess. Here's what you need to do. No, he said, let us rebuild. Let us do these things. You know why? Vision invites people into something bigger. It invites people into something bigger. It doesn't force them into something smaller. So if your vision is just telling people what to do, then that's not the vision that you think it is. That's just forcing people to do something and do something smaller, to be honest with you. People don't follow vision because they're told to follow vision. They follow it because they're invited into something meaningful. Hey, what if we did this? And what if we were clear? And what if we said that this was our next step? What could happen? And what could we see? Could you join into something like that? Yeah, okay, then come on, let us rebuild. Right? They follow because they're inviting into something meaningful. People don't give their lives to pressure. They give their lives to purpose. So if you're not creating purpose, something meaningful, in this vision casting area that you're in right now, then you're not casting vision. You're just telling people what to do. That's not a leader, that's a boss. And leaders invite people into something meaningful. Leaders invite people into something with purpose. And so the reality is invite people in, give clear, simple next steps, cast that vision and get some stuff done. And then, you know, one of the realities is, and we dove into this in the message this week, but expect opposition. But don't only expect opposition, plan for it. Like the moment Nehemiah speaks, opposition shows up. And that's typically what happens. The moment we say something like this, opposition is going to show up. It's going to be all over it, and it's going to want to stop anything that we're doing. If you're doing anything worth its salt, then opposition will be there, right? If there is no resistance, it's probably not a God-sized vision. That's a leadership principle for you to note down. Like if there's no resistance to what you're doing, It's probably not a God-sized vision, maybe the enemy-sized vision, which is so much smaller. And I think we get discouraged here. Like, if I'm being honest, I get discouraged with opposition. It's tough. Like, I don't like it. I lose sleep over it. I want to write emails that are bitter and hateful. I want to respond back, and sometimes I don't respond well. Just a couple of weeks ago, I had a moment where someone was talking to me about a certain thing at church. It was not the time or place to say it. It was a Sunday morning, and they were telling me about this thing that they're passionate about. Not everybody else is. They have feelings, and those feelings are true to them. But I responded in a way that wasn't right. I shouldn't have responded that way because I don't like opposition. I don't like it at all. And so we think like, man, okay, well, what am I doing wrong? This must not be from God. Maybe I missed it somewhere. Did I miss it? You start to do that as a leader. But the pattern of Scripture is very clear. Opposition is a sign that isn't a sign that you're off track. It's often a sign that you are on the right track because there is opposition that's going to be there. So Nehemiah doesn't defend himself. Like, you see that, like, he doesn't sit there, spend time defending. Hey, well, I know this, and this is what I typically do. I love to get in defense mode. I think I should have been a defense lawyer. And so sometimes I get in defense mode. Man, I can tell you all the reasons that I'm right in this area and you're wrong, and let me defend myself and so on and so forth. But Nehemiah doesn't do that. He doesn't even argue, or he doesn't even shrink back. You know what he does? He anchors it in God. He does. He just anchors it in God. Hey, man, you have no place here. This is God's people. This is God's place, and you have no say in what is happening. And so he anchors it in the Lord, and so should we, because if it's a God-sized vision, then it's anchored in the Lord anyways. You see, the strength of your vision is tied to the strength of your confidence in God. We talked about that this weekend. Like, the strength of your vision is tied to the strength of your confidence in God. I can't even, like David and Goliath, like prime example. Old boys should never have gone up to. I've been watching The House of David, and it's, obviously there's a lot of creativity that's in there, but one of the great things is, like, you really do. You think of this 10-foot man going up against this shepherd boy who plays the harp, and it really is. But the reality is, David didn't have a confidence in himself in fighting. He had a confidence in God because he had a God-sized vision to lead the people of Israel. So the strength of your vision is tied to the strength of your confidence in God. Don't forget that. Just a couple of things, some stuff that wasn't like in the sermon, and some things you kind of didn't hear this weekend. But like, Nehemiah waits 3 days before doing anything. 3 days. Then he spends time inspecting, and then he casts vision. And that means that, like, timing matters as much as content and vision casting. You got to be at the right time, at the right place with the right vision, right? And so say it too early, people are not going to be ready for it. If you say it too late, your momentum is lost. And so there's a timing piece. And so as you're praying for a God-sized vision, also pray, God, give me the right time to release this vision. Dude, Nehemiah nails the timing, like nails it, right? And so last but certainly not least, why most people don't step into vision. I was thinking about this, like, what is the reason that most people don't step into vision? And I don't think the biggest issue is vision. I don't think it's not clarity. I don't think it's anything like that. I don't even think it's opportunity. I think, honestly, it's comfort. I think the number one reason people don't step into the vision that you're crafting or creating, casting to other people, is because they're comfortable where they are. And so the biggest barrier to your vision, the biggest barrier to accomplishing what it is not confusion. It's comfort of people. They like where they are. They like what's going on. They like what they've always had. And so you have to create a picture of a preferred future, right? Tim Corbin, one of my good friends, he noted that a lot. We have to cast a compelling vision of a preferred future. Like, that's what vision is. It's casting and creating a preferred picture of a better future for people. And that's the vision. That's what MLK was doing. I had a dream of a day where people would not be judged by the color of their skin, but the content of their character. And so we don't want to just cast something out there. We know what to do. We just don't want to do it. Well, that's what it is. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's comfort. We know that we want these things. We just don't want to do it and walk through the process of it. And so as you craft your vision, as you create it, as you seek the Lord and discerning what his God-sized vision is for whatever it is that you're walking through, and take that next step, man, make it clear. Make it very clear. Discern what it is. I mean, you've got to discern it. You've got to walk through and discern where God is already working. You got to clearly communicate what you're walking through, and you got to deeply process that. You also need to make it clear and simple, and that way your vision will become transferable. You need to invite people into something bigger, not just impose something on them or make them want to do something smaller. You got to expect resistance and opposition. You have to do that. And then last but certainly not least, you have to have the right timing for it. And so hope this is helpful for you in crafting and creating your vision that God has given you, making it simple and clear and transferable into people's lives, and helping them live the Jesus life. The best vision that you can do would be helping people live the Jesus life. And so, hey, thanks for turning into Overflow. We'll come back next week, same time, same place. You'll have more guests than just me. So apologize for this week where it's just me. And so sorry you had to sit through 20 minutes of me rambling about vision. But I will say it's a passionate area of mine. Hey, I hope you have a great week, and can't wait to see you soon.